So I did some cuts on the body here to separate everything with a cutoff wheel, and this was intentionally done to show the damage that was going to happen. And this is what you see. Now, again, this is for demonstration because I'm going to show you how to fix it. Now, the first thing we're going to do is measure the gap, and that is about an eighth of an inch. That is the foam that we have to replace. I'm going to measure it again in a second spot just to kind of verify, yep, that's the gap that I needed. First thing we're going to do is get a piece of our scrap foam, and we are going to tear off that little like artificial skin on the front and the back. We're just going to tear it off. So all I'm going to do is just take a straight edge, and I'm going to cut a nice straight edge of on the foam, and this will give me, a really good spot to measure from. Then I'm just going to measure back an eighth inch at the top and the bottom of the foam. I'm going to line up my straight edge on my marks, and then I can cut my new filler piece. I'm going to take that filler piece and I'm basically going to dry fit it into the area that needs repaired. Now I have a little pick, it's a little body tool. I can use it and just kind of grab the foam and push it into place wherever I want it. Then I can use the back side, which is nice and round, and just kind of push it into the slot. Once I see, where I want to cut the foam, I just kind of take a razor blade and just cut it off. Now again, we're going to use that weldwood contact cement, and I'm just going to liberally spread this stuff on the inside. Now I will say this is the first way to do this repair. This is not the easiest way, but this is a definite, solution if this is all you had to use to do this. You want to get a lot in there because you're going to have to get it to kind of stick to the foam and to the edges at the same time, and I'll explain that in a second. So you're going to work that filler piece into the damaged area that you want to repair it. Now you're going to have to get this stuff in there pretty quick because this glue wants to set up. And the idea is to get the foam into place quick enough that the glue is still tacky, and we can kind of push it together and allow the tacky glue to stick to both surfaces, and then allow it to separate, and that will allow it to kind of dry a little bit, and then we can, push it back together and have it actually bond. But we'll get to all that as you see in the video. So all I'm doing is just working it into, where the final place it's going to rest. So here I'm just kind of lightly squeezing it together, and I'm just getting that adhesive to kind of spread out across the foam and the edges, the outside edges that were burnt, and the new foam. And then I'm just going to let it go. And that's going to allow it to expand, and kind of as it, gets tacky, I can then start, pushing my finger, push it back together with my fingers lightly. And you keep working it around like that, and eventually it will tack up and be nice and solid. But again, it's still going to be spongy foam. So this is the much easier way to repair this stuff. We're going to use the JB Weld, the same JB Weld that I use to epoxy the round rod to the fiberglass. So you would do the foam part the exact same way, figure out how much foam you need to fill in, and you make your little filler strip. But instead of using the weldwood contact cement, you would use this JB Weld epoxy. So here I'm just going to mix some of this epoxy, and I have that foam set exactly where I want it to stay. So the nice thing about this epoxy is it will saturate into the foam and solidify, making it really hard. So, the contact cement will make it, stuck together, but it won't make it structurally rigid. This will actually do both. So this is definitely my preferred method for fixing this foam. The nice thing is it's also self-leveling, so if you get a little divot that you just want to fill in, you can kind of, as it starts to solidify, you can just put it into that little divot and then smooth it out, and it'll level itself off really nice. All I'm going to do is, kind of squeeze the foam together, just hold the shape that I want it to stay in as the resin cures here, or the JB Weld. And it really only takes a minute for it to set. So once you have it, set in place where you want it, you can pretty much walk away and you're done. Sorry, I put my bear claws in front of the camera again. Here's a little divot. Really not a whole lot of foam was removed, but I just want to, level it out. So I just mixed up a little of that JB Weld. Just gonna, evenly apply it into that divot. You can see how I spread it out real nice and smooth, evenly. So here's that original piece I did with the weldwood contact cement, and the foam is still spongy. So I want to add some strength to it. So again, I'm just going to go back into it with that JB Weld and, just spread it across the top and let it solidify, and it will add a lot of strength back into the foam. You could also use, fiberglass resin um, in this point, and, it would do the same job. This just makes, a lot more sense for time, and, it actually adds a little bit more strength because you can kind of, really control it in the joints. So that's about it for this how-to. Like I said, along the way, whenever I can show, the easier way and the more difficult way to do it, I will do it. Um, but yeah, keep checking back. We're going to have a lot more coming, a lot of more progress in the coming weeks. So thanks again for watching.